Good afternoon. Oh my gosh, this day has raced by. How about you? Are you crazy? I mean, I just put my jacket on. I'm just finally getting back up here. What a day. I know last week was your crazy day with Mother's Day. How'd it go? Hopefully you're pleasantly exhausted right now. Hopefully you managed to get through with coffee. It was a big week. We were very quiet because you were all working, you know? It's kind of funny. When you're crazy busy, we're kind of quiet because you're all crazy busy. And then when you calm down, we get crazy busy. So this week has been a little more chaotic for us because everybody's coming back into the world of the living, which is kind of fun. But oh my gosh, today there's been so much. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I've set my alarm, I've done this, I've done that. But you know what? I made it to live, and that's the most important thing. Housekeeping, if you're on your phone, turn it sideways, you'll get a bigger picture. If you're on your computer, go full screen. If you are listening in your earbuds with the phone down because you're supposed to be working and not watching, and you're just listening to me, I'll say, hey, what do you think about this? And that'll be your clue to look up, see the arrangement, and then pretend you're not watching again. I know, we'll help you sneak around here because, you know, we got to do that. Today, we're talking about more. If you read the email we sent out, we talked about you want more sales, you want more profits, you want more time. You want more happiness. You just want a little bit more. David and I always laugh like that because we're like, we have a wonderful life. We are blessed. We are so lucky. But you always want a little bit more. And isn't that true for all of us? If you could just have a little bit more, a little more time, a little more happiness, a little more profits, a little more sales. We all want more. And today, that's what we're going to look at. How do we get that little bit more? Because I know you want more, I want more, everybody here wants more. In the studio with me, I have teacher Michelle. She's watching you on Facebook. If you have questions, comments, concerns, chat, what are you eating, you know the whole story, just type it in. She'll verbalize to me. If you are a tulip, make sure you put your icon in there. No matter who you are, let us know where you're from. Maybe there's someone else from your area and you'll begin a collaboration. If you're a first timer, let us know. On this side, I have Hitomi. She's watching you all on YouTube. She'll be looking for the same thing. So put your tulip in there. Let us know where you're from. Let us know what you're eating. What's your favorite color? Who knows? Just type something in there. So that gives us something to know that you're alive and well and you're with us. Then right smack dab in front of me, we have Ricky, who's making sure that I stay live, that I'm on time, giving me the countdown. Leanne, you've got 2 minutes. Leanne, you have 1 minute. Leanne, get in place. That makes it all work. Virtually, we have Caledonia on Facebook, Susie on YouTube, and I know David's out there as well. And then we have you. Thanks for joining us. If you haven't typed in yet, this is your opportunity. Get in there, type in who you are, where you're from, and first question. Okay, are you ready? Get your fingers ready, be nimble. What do you, yes, you, I'm talking to you. What do you want more of? What's most important to you today? As I talk about getting more, what do you want more of? It's an important question. What do you want more of? If you know me well, I always want more coffee. Coffee is a good thing. Keeps me caffeinated. So I'm going to make several arrangements today. We're going to talk about different things, but of course I have to have flowers because that helps lead me to the discussion of more. And I started with just a beautiful vessel, filled it with floral netting, taped in place, then adding water pre-mixed with flower food, because one of the things that I want more of is I want more life for my flowers. I want them to last longer. So if I use flower food and proper care and handling, I get more life for my flowers. That's a good thing. That wasn't part of my mores, but I thought, yeah, that's one of my mores. I want more life. So I've got that. Flower-wise, you can see I've got beautiful things. I've got some lilacs, roses, ranunculus, bachelor buttons, mini carns, chrysanthemums, monocassino, some wax flowers, spray roses, lots of different foliages, some geranium, eucalyptus, galix, schefflera, remember, somebody out there, one of the tulips answered that for me, and it's still alive. Can you believe it? Yes, we reuse, recycle, because we want more for the planet. Then I've got aspidistra, lilygrass, spatsia, salal, all kinds of fun things. So I'm going to start designing. While I gather materials, Teacher Michelle, tell me, what do you have out there that's going on in the world?
Well, when you said you had your coffee, Dylan said we had a great Mother's Day and I had a lot of caffeine, all the caffeine. So I think he's still running on caffeine right now.
Hi, Dylan. You know, it's so true. We need that. A little bit of caffeine can take you so far. And the holidays, oh my gosh, you're just spinning because you got to get so much done. It's crazy. Hey, tell me what's going on over there in YouTube land.
A lot of people are joining, and there are a couple first-timers joining us. Ree from Alabama and David from Germany. I believe he has joined us before, maybe about a year ago, but it's been a year since he joined us.
Oh, grand. So first timers and away for a while, welcome. Glad you're here. Tulips, give them a shout out, say welcome. And if you're a first timer, let us know. We just want to make sure that you're part of the bunch. The Tulip Bunch is a pretty loving group, and we love having you join us. It makes us happy. Today we're talking about more. How do you get more? How do you get more sales? How do you get more profits? How do you get more time? And how do you get more happiness? And my question to you is, what do you want more of? I need a one-word answer. What do you want more of? I know you might have already written a book because we all have lots of things we want more of. But put it into a one-word answer because that makes it easier for Hitomi and Michelle to catch up with you. But what do you want more of? I'm going to start with this beautiful vessel and add in some geranium foliage because one of the things I love is working with local product. And this is the time of year that local product is available and fabulous. So many of our online students, it's fun to see their submissions because they're coming in and they're submitting designs where they use flowers from their very own garden or maybe from somebody else's garden. I'm sure taken with permission, but it's fun to see the local product come in on the Flower School submissions. It's a perfect time to do Flower School because so much is blooming, so it makes it a little less expensive as you are gathering to create your arrangements. Plus, employment opportunities are excellent right now, so having your certification, having your education, being ready to roll, really makes it all work. Now, if you've had basic floral design already, you know I'm working in a radial format with a central binding point, everything coming out from that central area, creating a form, and keeping it pretty casual at this point. You can see, oh, I forgot my turntable. Oh, bad, Leanne. Oh my gosh. But guess what? I have it. It's here. So we'll put it up. Okay. Then I've got gorgeous lilac. 'Tis the season. Nothing makes me happier than dealing with all these great seasonal flowers that are available to us right now. I think it was Karen, maybe? I'm sorry if I have the wrong name, but I think it was Karen who just submitted one of her arrangements, and I evaluated it over the weekend because I was watching. We did an update on our website and wanted to make sure that everything was working well. So I was in and doing the evaluations over the weekend to make sure everything was coming. And you had gorgeous, gorgeous lilacs from your own yard, and that just made me so happy. I was like, oh, look at that! How cool is that? It's always fun when you grow it yourself and go out and harvest it.
Well, Gio is joining us today on Facebook, and he'll be here for the Designing for Competition and Evaluation class.
Oh, that's going to be so fun. Jill, it'll be fun to see you here. We are pretty much ready for you. We've been gathering supplies, ordering flowers, ordering foliage. The class is sold out. So if you're thinking about joining us, put it on your calendar for next year. It's always in May. I don't know the exact dates, immaterial. It's next year, May-ish. And it's the perfect opportunity if you're looking to get your full certification. It's our one class a year that's really geared towards AIFD certification. And I know Teacher Michelle and I have been organizing and planning, and Hitomi's been getting your materials prepped. She's got 2 tables of supplies set and organized so that all you need to do is show up and get ready for flower school. So it'll be fun to have you here. So I've got lilacs, I've got the container, I've got geranium. I'm going to get rid of some of these containers because it's just too much to have up here. And then I've got waxflower, which waxflower will be quite lovely in here, giving me a nice texture. Now as I'm working, I'm just having fun. I'm just placing flowers and enjoying creating. And that's why most of us become florists, is we like flowers, we like to create, and it gives us joy to make pretty things with flowers. And that's all positive and fabulous, but it doesn't always equate to that more that we're talking about. How do you make more time? How do you make more money? How do you make more profits? How do you increase your sales? And so one of the things I want to share with you is a tool that I have found that really helps focus your energies so that you can do more. You can still make pretty. It doesn't stop you from doing that. You've got to make pretty. You got to have fun. In fact, it might add more opportunity to have fun. Let's see, maybe I'll put this direction over by my coffee. Might even make more opportunity to have fun. And it definitely increases your happiness because it takes away some of your work. I shared with you one other time this website, and I just want to share it with you again because as I was thinking about post-Mother's Day, getting ready for the event season with all the weddings coming up, and the fact that you each are going to be working so dang hard. You've got so much time spent designing coming up that figuring out sales, profits, and time and all of that can be challenging. And just doing the paperwork takes forever. It sucks up your time and it sucks up your brain power. It makes you kind of crazy. Not that I'm crazy, but it does. So I found this site and I started working with it with some of our students, and I've been testing it, and I shared it with you, I don't know, a couple months ago. And I want to share it with you again because I think it is a tool that you can utilize to make your life a little bit easier, to help you focus on the business of flowers so that you can have more for you. So Ricky, if you will bring this up, I've got to get my glasses here. Where did I set them? There they are, so I can see it too. And I'm going to try to share my screen with you. So tell me when they can see it.
It's up.
Okay, so this is the website for Lobiloo. Lobiloo is a pretty great site, and when I go to log in, I just put in my email and my password, and then it brings me up to all the events that I've already loaded. And you can see as I've been playing with it, I have 9 events for 9 arrangements. I've only been paid twice. Oh my gosh, that's not a good sign. But I've got everything in here. If I pull it up, you can see I've loaded lots of different things, but I'm going to come back to just the upcoming and look at this one, which is I Want More. Gee, how appropriate. That was kind of the theme of this live stream. And so the name is I Want More. It's all being done here at the Tulip Palace, right here in Portland, Oregon. And how to get more from your floral business. So you can fill this all in. Then I started an arrangement. And you can see it's somewhat similar to what I'm working with, but somewhat not as well. I have the bowl. That is the same bowl that I'm working with. And then I added a picture of an arrangement because that was kind of the overall concept. And you may recognize that arrangement. That's one that Ricky shot a while ago from another design that we did. Then I added in lilacs, roses, which I don't have in here yet. Obviously, I've got to add them. Some wax flower, and then some geranium. So I put that all in there. And when I go on to the cost calculator, you can see that I've put in my calculations already, that I have the bowl that cost me $10. I have the picture, which was Flowers for Mom, which that's just a picture, so there's no cost to go with that. Then I have lilacs. And I said I have 5 stems because I broke them apart, and so roughly 5. And then I'm going to do some roses. I figured 10 stems, some wax flower, some scented geranium. And it tells me that when I put all of that in, my cost, including the container and everything, is $43.70. So then I have to determine what I'm going to sell that for. And if you've taken basic floral design, you know that you go your markup with your hard goods, your markup with your perishables, you add in your labor, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to kind of do a quickie calculation and figure that for me, I want to sell this for $175 when I'm done. And what that tells me then is that my gross margin, when you look down here at the bottom, is 75%. So I've got $43 in costs and $175 in price. Okay, so let's go back to designing and kind of chat about that for a second. So Ricky, if you can bring it back to me. So gross margin, profit, markup. What do y'all mean by that? When we've taught you in class, we've talked about the cost of goods. We've talked about what is your expense into it. And we talk about how that's super important that you evaluate every single stem that you place into the arrangement so that you get all of your costs covered. And this formula is a little different. So it's not quite what we taught you in the classroom because it's all calculated a little differently. But the reality is it's working the same way, and it's giving you detail that you need to make sure that you run a profitable business. Because if you don't know your margins, and if you don't know your cost of goods, and if you don't know what you're spending, there is absolutely no way that you can prepare for more. Because to get more, you have to know where you were starting. Yeah. So if you don't know where you're starting, the fact that you want more isn't going to work. It doesn't happen that way. You've got to kind of finish it out with that base knowledge. And by using Lobiloo, it helps you connect with what is the actual. And it's kind of scary sometimes when you look at it, especially now with pricing of flowers. It can be horrendous. You're like, oh my gosh, how can that possibly be? Because a rose may easily be costing you $1.60 wholesale. Yeah, that came out of my mouth, $1.60. Hurts my heart sometimes when I say those things. But if you're a professional, you know that. You've been paying those bills, and you get that ticket that used to say $100 and now it says $200. And you get that invoice that used to be $300 and now it's $500 because everything's gone up a little bit. And that's where being a professional becomes super important. You can't just skate by. You can't just go by your gut instinct. You can't just go, oh, I think that could be, oh, that's probably $50. No. Back in the day, you could get away with that. It might not have been the wisest choice, but you can get away with it. Now, you can't get away with that. Now, things are so expensive. Overhead is so high that it's vitally important that you know absolutely everything about every expense so that you can set it up. And that knowledge is power, and that power can help you lead to more. Yeah, truly. Any questions out there while we keep going here? He told me.
Well, on YouTube side, Laura would like to know how long will lilac last as a cut flower?
Good question, Laura. Laura wants to know how long the lilacs last. And I have been taking lilacs home maybe for 2 weeks now. And I baby them. I do everything you're supposed to do. I break them. I do all the stuff. I love them. I make sure they have water. And even then, I find 3 to 4 days is when they're beautiful. And by 5 days, they have faded. And it makes me so sad because I love them. But general rule of thumb, the more fragrant the blossom, lilacs, the shorter the life. Because as they transpire, they give off the fragrance, which means they're also losing moisture, which shortens their life. So depending on where you buy them, I would guesstimate 3 to 5 days base life at room temperature. You can extend that in the flower cooler, but once they're at room temperature, 3 to 5 days. And sometimes if you're really lucky, you might get another day, but relatively speaking, they're a short-lived flower. So Laura, thanks for asking that. If you have other questions, guys, type it in there. We're waiting to answer because it's important that you get your questions answered.
So Leanne, do you have that arrangement set up in Lobiloo?
I do, and now that I've got more flowers in it, why don't we go back and pull it so that you can look at it. So I did it as a round in, I believe it's an accent decor container, and I did lilacs, waxflower, geranium, and roses. Okay, so I did put this entire thing into the Lobiloo system. So let me pull that back up here, and Ricky, if you can make me go live on this.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is where I said the bowl was $10. The flowers for mom was the picture I put in, so nothing there. Lilacs were $2.64 a stem, and I had 5 stems. The roses, I have 10 stems at $1.60 each. Waxflower, 3 stems at $1.50. Geranium, oops, I don't have any geranium in there. Oh, but look how cool this is. Oh my gosh. Okay, you guys are gonna love this part. This is magic because sometimes you don't know what things cost. And so you're like, oh, what do you think it's gonna cost? I don't know. If you push this little globe, the world, it automatically puts in pricing from Flora Abundance. Look at that. So geranium is $1.07 a stem. Now, we all know that wholesalers change their price frequently, so that's going to change, so you can't really count on that forever, but it gives you a clue that you've got to guesstimate $1-ish for every stem of geranium. So it brought that to $1.07. It made my cost that I have for materials there to $49. Now, if I change my mind, and let me count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I actually only have 7 roses in there, so if I change that to 7, look at that. All of a sudden, it went to $44.25. I didn't have to think. It changed it for me. If something does my thinking, it makes me really happy. Now, I still have it listed as $175, but maybe since I changed that, maybe I'm going to change that to make it $160. Okay, so now I have a 72% margin. Okay? What happens if I screw up and I say, oh, you know what, I'll sell that for $40? It immediately tells me I'm losing money and that my gross margin is negative and that I am just basically never going to have more. I have just scheduled for less, and you don't want less. So you've got to go back and you change this and you say, okay, I'm going to sell it for $150, and now I'm back to a 70% margin. So I'm going to set this out, get some flowers. Ricky, if you want to go back to live. Michelle, what do you have?
So Sunny wondered if you can set your own price instead of for abundance. Is there a way to do your own input of pricing?
Yes, 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 yes. You can put exactly what you want in there. You don't have to use theirs. And the reality is you should use your own because theirs doesn't update every moment. So when you put it in there, that would be the price for that moment. But tomorrow it might be more or less. And a week later it might be more or less. So it's not going to be a perfect thing. But if you know your actual price, you can put it right in there and you're set. Yeah. I mean, I love the fact that the tool lets you do it both ways. You don't have to go, oh, what do I do here? I'm not sure if I can do that. What do I do? You know, because there's always that, what do I do? Oh my goodness. So, one of the things that I realized, in addition to a tool that will allow us to price, which saves you time, saves me time, which ultimately time is money, so that's all super positive. The other thing that we have to think about is how do you reduce your expenses so that you can increase your profits? And the easiest way for that is to reduce the number of ingredients. Because if you have to go buy wax flower and geranium and roses and lilacs, you've spent quite a bit of money because you have to buy a full bunch of everything. Now, if you need to do 3 or 4 or 5 centerpieces, that's great. But if you have one centerpiece, oftentimes you'll spend more for the ingredients than you can sell the arrangement for. Now you're back to less. Dang, I hate less. We don't want less. We want more. So one technique is to reduce the ingredients. So maybe instead of doing lilacs and waxflower and roses and geranium, you've got roses. And maybe just some eucalyptus. And you do just the 2 ingredients. Because you can still make lovely. Yes, you can. You can still make lovely. But you don't have to invest in all the different bunches, which then can increase your profits. And to be honest, it saves you time because you're not gathering as many different materials. Now granted, it's fun to have lilacs and waxflower and geranium and roses, but fun isn't going to pay your bills at the end of the day. So sometimes it's reduce those ingredients. So I was going to get some roses. And these are such gorgeous roses. Aren't they lovely? This variety is called, and I have to look.
Roseberry.
You are correct. It is roseberry. Thank you, Michelle. I had it written down here, but I didn't have my glasses on, so I couldn't go look at it. It's like, oh my gosh. Oh. So roseberry, and maybe I take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Let's do 12 of them. 12 is a good number because if you're used to buying roses in the United States, you know they come in bundles of 25. And so if you're taking 12, you have half of the bunch, plus a spare, but you've got half of the bunch. And even if you don't have an order for the second half, you should show a profit with just selling half of them if you mark it up correctly. You have to, because if you've got to buy 25, you've got to make sure that you can sell that and still make a profit. No, it gets complicated. The business of flowers is a lot of work, but it's worth it once you get it all figured out, and then finding the right tools to make it a little easier for you. And the tools become so important. It's knowing how to price things, knowing what to do. Teacher Michelle, what's up?
So there's a little discussion in Facebook. Michael had a question. Do most shops use a 3 times markup? And there are multiple answers, but one question that came out of that in a message was, can you adjust your markups and your pricing structures on things?
So Michael, great question. Is 3 times a normal? It really varies a lot. And if you were in the classroom with me, and I know you've taken classes with me, so you know what I teach, 3.5 is a fairly common point of markup. But even that is not always accurate. And I have some students that are incredibly successful that do a 2.5 time markup, but their overhead is lower and they don't have high service. They're more cash and carry. So if you are cash and carry, lower service, lower overhead, you can have a lower markup and still have more profit. I have other students that if they don't do a 5 times markup, yes, you heard that out of my mouth, 5 times, they can't show a profit because their overhead is high and the service that they offer is extensive. So they have to do that to show a profit. Ironically, the actual profit of the 2.5 times and the 5 times may be the same once you pull out the overhead and the service. Oh my gosh. So yes, with Lobiloo, you can adjust that because you each are going to be in a unique situation. You're not all going to be the same. And your pricing has to reflect your expenses. And you can do that. Michelle, Hitomi, what else is going on?
Yeah, on the YouTube side, David has a question for you. Well, he's doing a wedding for his best friends, and he would like to know, he will be using baby's breath, and he would like to know how to keep them fresh without water source.
Ah, that's a tough one. So David's doing a wedding and going to be using baby's breath, which we're getting ready to film with some baby's breath tomorrow. So I have some in the studio with me. Notice it is in a water source. Yeah, because all flowers need moisture. I mean, that's what keeps them alive. Now, in a wedding or an event, there are times that you do them without without a water source, but then it's going to shorten the life. Baby's breath is one of those that will hold for a while if it's not too hot. So key is to do proper care and handling. Think about Basic Floral Design 101, where we taught you all your care and handling practices. Make sure you do good care and handling. Make sure you have it fully hydrated. And then you'll get some hours out of it. It's not going to last for days, but it will last through an event and be lovely. So, good question.
So I had another one that came in on Messenger over here saying, I'm just coming off Mother's Day. Will this allow me to look back on Mother's Day this year, next year?
You know, it doesn't have a compilation ability, but it will save your recipes and your designs. And you can look at what the pricing was, because that will still be saved in there. You can look at what your profit margin was in there. And then you can add how many of each arrangement that you made, because that will calculate in there as well. So if you are doing that centerpiece that I just did, this one, and you did 30 of those for Mother's Day, you can type in there that you did 30. And there's also a place to add notes, so that if you want to say, gee, we did this with 9 roses, but it was equally as beautiful with 7 roses, next year I'd prefer to do it with 7, you would have that record so that when you come back, yes, it's waiting for you. Now, it doesn't give you your compilation for everything that you did. Like if you did 10 of these and 10 of these and 10 of these, it doesn't combine that. But you can look and see what you did, because it categorizes them by date. So you would just put the date in for Mother's Day, label that arrangement, put in your recipe, calculate your pricing, update it with how many were sold, and then yes, it's there to look back at. How cool is that? Pretty fabulous. So now this one I did just with the eucalyptus and the 12 roses. Now I can give this a tug, tie it off, and then put it into a vessel. And then let's price it out. Let's see how that goes and what happens. So I'm going to go there. So this was just 2 ingredients. So it leads to greater profitability. Because when I sent you out the email, I said, what do you want? Sales, profits, time, or happiness? Okay. And then when I started this, I asked you to type in there, what is it you're looking for? What do you want more of? Did we get any answers there as to what is the more?
We did.
What do you have?
Well, on the YouTube side, a few people mentioned that they wanted more time and more energy, more time to spend time with friends and loved ones, more midnight foam, more advice, more confidence, and more money to go to flower school.
Interesting. I love the more energy, because that is so true. Because we only have a limited amount of energy, and to do everything we want to do can be a little bit challenging to get that all together. Now my base is the wrong scale, but the color was right, so I'm just going to leave it in there for right now. And then go ahead and pull up the computer. So that's good. More time was mentioned quite a bit there, and more energy, so that you could have more money to go to flower school, which I love that, and is actually quite accurate. So let's talk about that. What can you do to get more? How do you go there? So I'm going to pull this back over. Ricky, if you can bring me back to the computer.
It's on there.
Okay, so one thing that you can do to get more is to sell more of each item. So, for example, the person that talked about Mother's Day, what if I did, well, I can look back or whatever. And I said, well, you can change that. You can say, I sold 32 of this particular design, and I found that we only needed 6 roses, and it was equally as beautiful. And we sold it for $150. And then it tells you that on that particular arrangement, you almost made $5,000 in sales. So one of the things that you can do to increase your profits is to raise the number on each of these items. So if you recipe out that you're going to do the centerpiece in a bowl, or if you're going to do a dozen roses, every time you sell one more of those, you're going to be increasing your profitability. Yes, it increases sales, but it also increases profitability, because the more you sell of the same item, the lower your costs overall, because you're buying the same thing each time, as opposed to buying one of these and one of these and one of these and one of these and one of these, which takes you so much time, and you always have leftovers. So if you sell more of the same item, you can go profitable and be better. Now, let's look at how do I get more, okay? Also done at the Tulip Palace right here in Portland, Oregon. And this one was nothing more than roses and eucalyptus, so just 2 items. So by reducing the ingredients, you can increase your profitability. Then I put in that the roses were $1.60 a piece, the eucalyptus was $1.21. I probably used more like 3 stems of eucalyptus. So let's adjust that. And so my cost into there was $19.63. Then I have to decide, what do I want to sell it for? I told you that some of our students, if they do less than a 5 times markup, they don't show a profit. So for this one, I actually picked close to a 5 times markup and sold it for $100, which would be 80% gross margin. Now maybe you don't need that. Maybe your overhead is lower, so maybe you need to do 3 times. So you might sell that for $60. Now you only have a 67% margin. So you got to think about that. Is that margin enough to pay your bills? Or maybe you need to make it even just $65 to where you get 69.8% margin. So there's 2 ways to make more money. One is to sell more of each item so that you can buy more efficiently, which will save you time and save you overall cost. Second way is to reduce the ingredients so that you're not buying as many different things, which then can increase your profitability and saves you time. Hello, time you mentioned there is so important. That's a huge value. And all of that can be calculated right here. Now, when I go back to the events, I'm going to go to all of them. You can see where, here's Mother's Day. That was one that I had done, and Mother's Day is over, but it's still showing. So I can go back and look that, oh, St. Paul's Episcopal Church ordered Mother's Day centerpieces from us. And they ordered a beautiful one in a taller compote, and they ordered 6 of them. So that means Mother's Day next year, I should contact them and see if they will buy 6 more centerpieces, because last year, look at that, $1,100 just from that one luncheon. How cool. So yes, that shows you the records will be left here. And then these are the new ones that are coming up. See, I've already put in Valentine's Day roses for February of 24. Set that in already. Okay. But how else do you get more? Let's go back to me. We'll get rid of the computer again. It's way more fun. How else do you get more? We all want more. And it sounds like time is a big deal. And time is really important. And that's where Lobiloo helps, because the calculations are instantaneous, it's faster, it's correct. How many times do you sit there with your calculator and double check your math and say, did I do that right? Oh my gosh, is my Excel sheet formula correct? It takes away that. So it saves you time, it makes it more efficient. We know if you sell more of each item, great. That can increase profitability. We know if you cut down what you purchase, so reduce the ingredients, increases profitability. The third way that is guaranteed to increase your profitability, give you more of what we all want, more time, more happiness, all of that, is to work efficiently. And a lot of you had prom, yeah, right on top of Mother's Day. Don't you hate that? Who schedules that? And I want to show you how we do prom, because it makes it so that you can be more profitable, you can save time, which means you can make more sales, which ultimately leads you to more happiness. So then you get all four of them. How cool is that? So when we do anything for prom or any other event where we know we have lots of corsages and such to do, we create blanks. And you can do these blanks way in advance. Way, way, way in advance. And yes, the Lobiloo formula works for that too. We'll pull that back up and I'll show you. It works perfectly for that. We are doing 65, which though for those of you that do tons of proms, 65 isn't a lot. For those of you who do just a few, you're like, 65! But we have to do 65 wrist corsages, not for prom. This is for Rose Festival. So shameless plug, if anybody wants to volunteer to help out with Rose Festival, we're looking for people to help on the floats and to help with the parades. So reach out, contact me. So shameless plug, gone away. Okay, back to getting ready. If you're doing 65 of something, the reality is it's the 24th. So today is what, the 17th? I think, I'm guessing, I don't remember. So if it's the 17th, but these are not necessary till some are on the 24th, some are on the 10th of June, some are on the 3rd of June, and some are on the 11th of June. So we're talking way out here. But you know what? They're all done. All I have to do is add flowers. Now, these are wristlets so that they're ready to slap on and be going, but you can also do it for a pin-on. If you prefer to do the wired and taped, you can do it as a wired and taped. It doesn't have to be simply the glue. But what we do is we fill out the blanks. So these are going to be for the princesses when they visit the mayor's office. This is going to be for the 50-year court, so the people who were princesses 50 years ago. These are going to be for the Junior Rose Parade, where they walk down the street and they wave at everybody, so they're a little bolder so that they'll show up from the street waving. This is for the dignitaries, the day of the parade, so that they're a pin-on. But you do all of this ahead of time. And you can map this all out in Lobiloo, have it ready ahead of time. Then, so like this is the one I need on the 23rd, I believe. We would just go back and say, okay, we want white Majolica roses. And you just cut them down. Then get your Oasis Floral adhesive. Put just a dab of glue, just a dot, not a lot. It doesn't need very much. Let it dry a bit. And tuck it in. then just hold it for just a moment. It doesn't take very long. How fast was that though? What, 30 seconds? Wouldn't it be fabulous if you could make every corsage in 30 seconds? Now, granted, we did all the other work ahead of time, but by doing the other work ahead of time, when it gets crazy busy and you need the rest of them done, instantaneous. So by doing pre-planning and working efficiently, you can increase your profits, you can save time, you can increase your happiness, all the things that we want more of. Let's get the computer and take a look at that, see how it works out, because I thought that was so much of a cool thing because it works for everything. So if I go back to my events and I go to You Are More, and the reason I named it that is because you deserve more, and you are more, and you can be more. So then I just took a picture of a corsage, so I remembered what I was going to do, and then I tucked in some white Majolica roses, and I called it a corsage for grandmother just because that was one of the titles that I could pick. One of the things that's beautiful about this is I can edit that and say, oh, this is going to be for a mother, or gee, this is going to be for other, or believe it or not, I can even say it's for the stepmother. How perfect is that? So you can label everything out just the way you want it to be. Now, if you don't want it to say that, if you want to create a custom type, so like I could just say corsage for princesses, and save that, and save.
That's really handy for creating your own recipes and your own designs.
Oh my gosh, I mean, it's just, and now it says, it's corsages for princesses. How cool. So then I'll always have that. I can refer back to it. It's like, oh yeah, remember last time we did that ribbon with those little white Majolica roses? Now, what did it cost us? So then I put down that the base was $3, because that would be the band and the bow. Then my white Majolica rose, I don't know how much they are. Let's see. We can import the pricing. Oh, it was $1.50 a stem. How cool is that? Magic. It tells me then that it's $4.50. Now you're not going to sell that for $4.50. That is your time, your genius, your creativity. You were amazing because you are more and you can do more. So we're going to say, I think I'm going to sell that for $25. I think that's fair because that's beautiful. It's a one-of-a-kind, handmade work of art, and it tells me I have an 82% gross margin. And I'm done. Then I go back and I think, oh, how many do I need? Oh yeah, I'm doing 15 of those. Okay, so it tells me it cost me $67.50, and I sold it for $375, and I had an 82% margin. How perfect. Now when I go back with my events, they're all still here. There's the I want more. There is the centerpiece. Then I can go back and say, how do I get more? And there is the roses where I cut down on the ingredients. And then I can say, no, you are more. And there it is for the corsages. So you can do anything you want anytime. So let's come back to me and let's talk about this for just a second. Okay? We all want more. We know that. Okay? You want to make more money. You want to be more profitable. You want to take care of your customers. How do you do it? And what is most important? And when I sent you the email, I said I was going to share a secret that not all florists know. And no, Lobiloo is not the secret. That's a public thing. Lobiloo is good. It's a great tool. I recommend that you check them out. They have a free sample test you can get for like 2 weeks. Sign up for the free one. Explore it. See if it works for you. If it doesn't, opt out. Get out. It didn't cost you anything. What a great way to find out if it does work for you. If it doesn't, be gone. If it does, and it gives you more, it's worth it. Definitely worth it. But the secret that I wanted to share with you, let me get a few more flowers out here. The secret is when it comes down to it, with sales and profits and time and happiness, they're not all equal. You probably know that, but in case you didn't, I'm going to throw it out there. They're not all equal, by a long shot. So Hitomi shared what she had found on YouTube as far as you wanting energy, time, so forth, so on. Michelle, what happened over on Facebook? What did you find there?
Well, time was also the number one. A couple people said more work, which I also translated into sales, but they were specific about freelancing or collaborating with someone. And then we had quite a few that said more knowledge.
Interesting. Okay. So all of those things are so important. And it is fun because so many of you are doing freelance work now. And so finding those connections where you're around people to get jobs and gigs, that is a tough one that is not insurmountable. And what I find is, as silly as it sounds, is just making the point of being around people and participating with people and interacting with people can lead to those jobs, those gigs, that employment, the work that you want. That can be interacting on a Flower School Live, getting to know who's here, finding out who's in your area and getting involved with them. I had to laugh because one of our tulips sent me a private message this morning that said, "Leanne, I found your doppelganger." And oh my gosh, she did. It was so fun. I'm like, I want to be this person. And it was like, this was my doppelganger. I was so excited. But you know what? The fact that she sent that to me just made me think about her and made me go, I wonder what she's doing now. Where is she working? I wonder if I have any work that she would fit in with. So taking the moment to reach out to people, it may not be that you're looking for a job or a gig, but taking the time to reach out and say hi without throwing it out there. Hey, I'm looking for a job. But just to be involved with them can lead to employment and be super fabulous in that respect. So thinking about things like that can make a difference in your profitability. Time, I have to agree with you. Time has got to be one of the most important things in the whole world. And the reality is that leads me to what I would count as somewhat of a secret in our world as to how to get more sales, how to get more profits, how to get more time, and how to get more happiness. Focus on you. Put yourself first, number one. And then focus on the profits rather than the sales. Because many times we focus so hard on making more sales that we cut our prices, which means then we create lower profit, and it takes more time, which leads to unhappiness, not happiness, because all of a sudden you're working very, very, very hard for very, very, very little. So the biggest thing that I could share with you overall in all of this discussion is don't focus on your sales. Sales become a secondary. I want you to focus on your profits. Which things do you do that make you money? And focus on your time. What can you do to save time, to work more efficiently, so that you have the opportunity to be available when the perfect situation comes up, that you want to do that work because it's profitable and it makes you happy, and you aren't overworked by doing things that you just said, oh, I need that sale, but that sale didn't bring you in profit, so it didn't help pay your bills, certainly didn't add to your happiness, because all you were doing was spinning your wheels. So that would be the secret of being successful in the flower world, is don't focus on sales. When I said that you want sales, more, you want profits, more, you want time, more, you want happiness, more, I said 4 things, might not all be important. Take sales out. Focus on profits, time, and happiness. And when you do that, I think you'll be surprised how often sales occur, because all of a sudden you've opened the door for time to have those sales, which then also gives you more energy because you're not just running in circles. So those of you that said you wanted more energy, there you go. Focus on profits, focus on time, focus on happiness. Use the tools that can make your life more efficient. Plan ahead, document it out, get that pricing down. Lobiloo can help. Efficiency of pre-planning can help. Cutting down on ingredients can help. Increasing the number of sales of the exact same item can help. But the number one thing you can do for you is to change your mindset from sales to profits, and then sit back and enjoy. We'll see you all next week. I'm glad you joined us. If you had any other questions we didn't get answered, get them typed in. We'll come back to that. Next week, kind of exciting. You asked, and we're going to do it. We're talking photography. How do you get that perfect photo? Yep. We're going to have Ricky right up here. You'll get to see her front stage, and she's going to share her pro techniques and tips for photography. So if that's something that you're worried about, make sure you're here next week. Now, between now and then, focus on profits so you have money to buy flowers, to take pictures of. See you next week.